In my previous videos, I focused on how poor sleep leads to a number of psychological, physiological, and neurological problems. I talked about one of the main causes of poor sleep, circadian rhythm disruption. I reviewed the importance of getting exposed to bright light early in the mornings, and also how bright light, especially blue wavelength light in the evening, can wreak havoc on our sleep. I reviewed how physiological activation negatively impacts our sleep as well, and how the use of various substances like sleep medication, alcohol, cannabis, marijuana, and caffeine all can negatively affect our sleep. I'm Dr. Chris Friesen from Friesen Performance, where I help you achieve your greatest potential by optimizing your psychology, physiology, and neurology. Recall, physiological activation is when our sympathetic nervous system is overactivated and prevents us from being able to fall asleep. We've evolved not to be able to sleep when we are physiologically activated. In this video, I'm going to focus on how evening exercise, meals, and what we focus on can negatively impact our sleep. Exercising too close to bed can activate our physiology and prevent us from getting good sleep. After we exercise, our sympathetic nervous system, or the stress system, is activated for hours. Our metabolism speeds up. Our heart rate increases. Exercise can also elevate our core body temperature, which is something we need to go down in order to get good sleep. That being said, research generally indicates that stopping exercise 60 to 90 minutes before you go to sleep is usually good enough. But of course, this will depend on the intensity of the exercise. I remember when I used to play hockey in the evenings, it would take my body hours to deactivate in order to fall asleep. Of course, hockey is a very intense exercise. So the more intense the exercise, the longer it's going to take for your physiology to calm down in order to get proper sleep. So although exercise is good for you, the timing and intensity really matters. Exercising too intensely, too close to bed is bad for your sleep. We can become physiologically activated when we have a big dinner or we eat too close to bedtime. When this occurs, the body has to work really hard when we're trying to go to sleep or once we're asleep to digest the food. This can make it harder to fall asleep, but it could also prevent deeper restorative sleep that we get earlier on in the evenings. Most of our deep sleep occurs soon after we go to bed. More REM sleep occurs earlier in the mornings. Digestion can also raise our core body temperature. This is another thing that we need to go down in order to get proper sleep. Also, digestion tends to slow down once we're asleep. So if we have a lot of food in our stomachs when we're going to sleep, it's going to take longer for that food to digest, further impacting your sleep. Of course, eating too close to bed or having too big of a meal in the evenings can cause acid reflux or stomach discomfort, which can also affect our sleep. I've personally noticed when I have too large of a meal or eat too close to bed, my sleep is disrupted. What I've noticed is when I have large meals, my heart rate stays higher earlier in the evenings. It takes a longer time for my heart rate to settle at night. This is a sign that my body's working hard to digest food as opposed to dedicating resources to recover during sleep. As I touched on in a previous video, it's during deep sleep that the glymphatic system is activated, essentially washing the brain of metabolic byproducts, including amyloid beta, which has been shown to be associated with Alzheimer's disease. We want this system to be working as best as possible if we want to stay cognitively sharp and healthy for a long time. So try to eat at least 3 or 4 hours before going to bed to give your body enough time to digest. What we focus on in the evenings can cause physiological activation. For example, having stressful conversations with family members, spouses, friends, coworkers later in the evening can definitely activate our physiology, our stress response, and make it harder for us to get quality sleep. So it may be helpful to try and avoid stressful conversations close to bed. Checking emails before bed can also get you activated, especially work emails. So be careful again what you focus on before you go to sleep. What you focus on with regard to social media is also important. Often what we see on social media these days are things that are polarizing. We often get triggered by certain posts that are contrary to our values and belief systems, and this could get us physiologically activated and affect our sleep. We also have to be careful with what we watch on television, YouTube, or on streaming services. Content that can get you physiologically activated and affect your sleep include scary movies, intense shows, reality TV, which often has a lot of drama and fighting, or even watching your favorite sports team or sport can get you activated. I remember when I first started watching The Walking Dead years ago. The gore and violence got me activated, and I noticed a difficult time falling asleep. Similarly, when some of the athletes that I've worked with are on television or on the internet, and I watch their matches or their competitions before bed, I often have a real hard time falling asleep. One trick that I'm going to focus more on in future videos is engaging in what's called respiratory sinus arrhythmia breathing. Basically, this means you're breathing in for 5 seconds and breathing out for 5 seconds. So it's long and slow breathing. Research has shown that this tends to increase heart rate variability, which is a sign that our parasympathetic nervous system is being activated. This is the rest and digest system. Recall that there's the sympathetic nervous system and there's also the parasympathetic nervous system. You can think of it this way. The sympathetic nervous system is like your gas pedal, whereas the parasympathetic nervous system is like your brake. They're actually two different systems. Basically, this 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out slow breathing is one of the only ways we know how to purposely activate the parasympathetic nervous system. It's called the vagal brake. More on this in future videos. I hope these videos have showed you how many different things can affect your physiological activation and negatively impact your sleep. In the next videos, I'm going to go over what you should be doing instead to prevent physiological activation. In future videos, I'm going to go over the third cause of sleep disruption, cognitive overactivation, and what to do about it. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you want to get alerted for future videos like this. Share with friends or family or anyone else you think might benefit. So until next time, keep moving forward.